It all started with this dead space on the left side of my closet. I figured I could use it and make it a shoe rack. I started by getting some 1x8s of red oak, and you can use pine to keep it more budget friendly if you wanted to. I got 7 pieces of 1x8x8 pieces. I started by cutting down the 2 side pieces to the length from the top of my baseboard to my ceiling. Then I measured the width of my wall and minused the 2 side pieces to get my width measurement. I cut all of those down and started getting out my Craig Jig 720 for the pocket holes. I'm trying to put these pocket holes pretty strategically, so for the bottom shelves, the pocket holes will be on the bottom, and the pocket holes will be on top. That way, when you walk in and look at the shelf, you won't see any of the pocket holes. They'll be hidden. I'm just putting 2 pocket holes at the ends of each cross shelf. These shoes will not be very heavy once they're all on the shelf, so I don't need a ton of strength. I did add some 2x4s for the very top piece. Since that won't be a shelf and it's going to be hidden by the trim, I'm going to use that to screw the shelf into the ceiling. The idea is for this to be a floating shelf just above my baseboard, and so I'm hoping to measure that and get that straight. I'm marking where the studs are in my ceiling. I need to be sure that I hit a stud when I screw this shelf into place. The only reason the floating shelf works in this space is because I have about a 6-inch overlap right there on the left side of the wall. So it'll be attached to the wall on the left and attached to the ceiling on top. I am pre-drilling a couple spots where I will be able to run screws through once I'm holding it up on the ceiling, and I had to move my center shelf right there because it was hitting the light switch. I thought I measured correctly and I didn't. If you do this, make sure you have a partner. I had to call my daughter in to hold one side while I screwed the entire frame into the ceiling and into the side wall. I'm putting 2 3-inch Power Pro screws into each stud on the ceiling, and then 1 every 18 inches or so on the side wall. And this is where things get a little tricky and pretty fun. I decided to lower the shelf on a tilt, and this is about a 25 to 30 degree tilt. You can figure out whatever feels right for you. I like 25. So I would screw in the front 2 Craig screws and then lower to the tilt on the very first shelf and screw those screws in. Then you can use these straight boards to mimic that tilt all the way up. So it gets easier after you do the first one.
Once I got the angle right the first time, it was much easier to do it for the rest. I have these 2 blocks set up to 8 inches. I set it just like this on this angle. So when I put the new board in, it's at an angle, and then I can just pocket hole the end. Another trick is to use paste wax when you're using oak or red oak on your screws. You put your screws in the paste wax before you drill them in. It makes them go so much smoother because red oak is so hard.
This is paste wax going onto each one of these screws. When you're screwing into red oak, they tend to get stuck or slow because red oak is so hard. This paste wax will help it go a lot more smoothly. These spacer blocks that are in between are about 7.5 inches, but that will all depend on the size of your overall shelf. I did make the center shelf right below the light switch nice and level and straight. There's no tilt to that at all. And then I began the tilt again for the top shelves. This is where my husband's shoes will be going. So it's the same spacer, 7.5 inches, and I'm doing the exact same thing, tilting it to 25 or 30 degrees, and then using those spacer blocks to continue that tilt all the way to the top. I want this center shelf to end up being something that holds our jewelry and just have a little decor on it and just be more of a storage area rather than put shoes there. And this is how it's looking at this point. I was short 1 piece, so I had to run back to the store and grab that. And now I'm trying the shoes out. I did find that when the shoes went into the shelf straight on, they stuck out quite a bit. I learned later to put each shoe on a tilt or in on an angle. That way they didn't stick out quite as much. Then I added this red oak trim that I grabbed from Home Depot and added this cute little shelf rail that is really just a dowel painted gold. And here is what it looks like. I am so in love with the space. I'm so in love with the shoe storage, the shoe tower. It has changed this space completely. I also like that it took an unusable space and made it usable. Here's a quick reminder of where we started, and I want to say that you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and on Facebook if you're looking for more DIYs. Thanks for watching.